Hello folks, Charlie in Westeros here with a topic I am very excited to discuss with you all, and that is my predictions for the upcoming 7th season of Game of Thrones. I made some early predictions last year, and one of the main reasons I enjoy doing them so early is that at the moment there is so little known as to what might transpire next year, especially considering the 6th book still isn't out. As a result, I figured this is the perfect time for me to share some thoughts and theories for spring 2017 when Thrones is back on our TV screens. Anyway, without further ado, let's jump right into this one by starting off with an overview of my predictions. Because there is much to cover and my thoughts do shift somewhat throughout the summer, I will be subdividing my early predictions for Season 6 into 3 general different parts, based on the, roughly speaking, 3 apparent factions that have now formed in Westeros, and in a roughly chronological fashion. These factions include the Starks, focused on an apparent or potential/eventual alliance between House Stark, Tully and Arryn, the Targaryens, whose faction is centered on their very overt alliance with the remaining Martells and the Tyrells and the Greyjoy exiles, and the remaining faction focused on House Lannister, but this final part will include the roles of House Baratheon, i.e. Gendry, and Euron Greyjoy. Now, obviously, Cersei isn't necessarily officially aligned with those two aforementioned houses, but I will expand on that choice in a later video. For today, let's focus on the North and the Starks, along with House Tully and Arryn. It's funny to say this now, but I always thought the point of Season 6 was to wrap up the interhuman conflicts in order to set up the arrival of the White Walkers in Season 7. While I still maintain this point, I think there is a very big but to add to it. Other than to ready themselves for the threat beyond the wall, there really isn't any major plot left for events in the North as far as interhuman conflicts go. However, in light of the recent assassination of Walder Frey and 2 of his sons, I think the show will present the twins in the South as entering its own succession crisis without any one clear heir of Walder Frey's being able to present himself. As a result, the fact that Edmure Tully is in a marital union with one of Walder's daughters will permit the Tullys to vie for power once more in the area.
Fear is a marvelous thing.
They don't fear the Freys, though.
They fear the Lannisters. We gave you the Riverlands to hold the Riverlands.
If we have to ride north and take them back for you every time you lose them,
why do we need you?
Long story short, I think this statement by Jaime to Walder Frey will prove to be oddly prophetic. If Edmure Tully reemerges as a force in the Riverlands, it effectively means that the Tullys could enter into conflict with King's Landing directly. As a result, Jon Snow, Sansa, and the North may be co-opted to assist the Tullys, especially considering they will require more allies to fight the White Walkers. A reformed alliance between the Tullys and the Starks effectively means that the North has a new reason to directly enter the fray, no pun intended, against Cersei Lannister. That said, these hypotheticals could create new issues for the likes of House Arryn. After all, what can we expect of the tension between Sansa, Littlefinger, and Jon Snow? For now, the Vale is aligned with the North, but I think the following clip discusses some important issues in looking at the Vale's involvement for Season 7.
He's named King in the North and she kind of gets no credit for it. Jon doesn't acknowledge everything his sister has done for him after all that they've been through. And it's not that she's looking for praise or anything. She did it because she wants revenge and also because she wants her home back. But Jon, he's so naive. So Sansa's just a little bit agitated is all.
Considering Sansa was primarily motivated by vengeance last season, I have no doubt that she will want to refocus her attention on getting some payback against Cersei Lannister, especially after that Lannister has proclaimed herself Queen of Westeros. As such, the notion that Jaime and Brienne could become enemies last season was established.
One last thing, Sir Jaime.
Yes, Lady Brienne.
Should I fail to persuade the Blackfish to surrender, and if you attack the castle, honor compels me to fight for Sansa's kin.
Of course it does.
To fight you.
Let's hope it doesn't come to that.
Needless to say, I think this tension will materialize itself into action, and at least until Cersei is dealt with, these factions will be the divisive element between the two hypothetical lovebirds, as Brienne is the champion for Sansa's cause, and Jaime is Cersei's. In addition to the North being firmly in Jon's control, I think Sansa's manipulative side will turn to the Vale of Arryn, and while things transpire quite differently in the books, she could very well attempt to insert herself in trying to control the Vale proper. Now, I could see things going down a number of ways for her story. On the one hand, Sansa could allow herself to be a willing pawn to Littlefinger, possibly even marry him in the hopes that he will raise the banners of House Arryn against Cersei in King's Landing. While this outcome is possible, I don't think Sansa is likely to forget the fact that she was left with Ramsay Bolton, nor do I think that Brienne and Jon would be eager to let Sansa return to Littlefinger's clutches. On the other hand, we could potentially witness a series of events somewhat similar to those transpiring in the books. Sansa could marry the young Robin Arryn, or even another heir to the Vale, with Baelish's blessing. Once that is done, however, she may only end up finding common cause with the Lords of the Vale who resent Littlefinger's influence on Robin, and inevitably force Baelish back to Harrenhal or King's Landing with Cersei Lannister.
Lord Royce has served the Vale well. He's enjoyed a distinguished military career. If we could trust his absolute loyalty, he would make a capable commander in the wars to come.
You can trust my absolute loyalty, my lord.
I think he deserves one more chance. What do you say?
Fine.
A third possibility I could foresee is that with the return of Tyrion as an ally to Dany's cause, Sansa's role could very well be that of a possible mediator between the Starks and the Targaryens, considering Theon Greyjoy is now an ally to Daenerys. This effectively means Sansa is quite close to two members of Dany's inner circle, and as a result, the 7th season may focus on her journey south with Brienne while simultaneously trying to evade Baelish's grasp, as I can't imagine he would be so keen in letting the Stark girl go so easily. This eventuality could very well result in Littlefinger returning to support Cersei as Lord of Harrenhal rather than Warden of the Vale, since it seems like the Vale Lords were quite eager to acclaim Jon as King of the North in last season's finale, to Baelish's dismay. So moving back to the North itself and closing out this video, I don't have too much to say like I mentioned earlier, but what I can say is that events there will likely focus on two storylines. The first will probably follow Bran's travel back to Winterfell while he simultaneously experiences more visions of the past, including one of the tourney at Harrenhal. If you aren't as familiar with that event, I have a video series on Rhaegar coming up this summer that will also cover this specific event where the Targaryen prince met Lyanna. We have yet to see how the Targaryen prince and Lyanna Stark were involved in what I strongly suspect to be a romantic affair, rather than a forced one where abduction of the Stark lady was involved. However, even with Bran's vision of such facts, the people of Westeros will need some form of proof that Jon Snow is indeed the son of Rhaegar and Lyanna, and as a result, I do think that once Bran finds Jon and tells him of this, events will be set up for Jon to seek out the figure of Howland Reed, who is perhaps the only witness left in the North who can speak to the truth of Jon's birth and inform the wider populace. Once this takes place, I suspect things will start to make sense for this prince that was promised. The wall will come down, and Jon and Daenerys will be at least obliged to work together as the sole remaining unifying forces in the face of humanity's demise, thereby closing out the short 7-episode season. As far as Bran's claim to the North goes, well, I think it might complicate things a little, so my hunch is that Bran will willingly give up his claim to Winterfell, at least for now, until the more serious threat of the White Walkers is ultimately dealt with. Anyway, folks, I will leave my part 1 of 3 early predictions video series here. I realize I only covered some things in a relatively vague fashion, but I will cover the more critical endpoints of next season in my next 2 videos. Until then, please let me know what you think. Do you agree, disagree? Am I on the right track, or am I out to lunch? I welcome all of your thoughts. Remember, these are just my predictions for the TV show, and as such, I don't necessarily think things will transpire in the same way in the book series. As always, thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I will see you all next time.
I cannot give you back your homes, but perhaps I can